The studio of Live with Kelly and Mark buzzed with its usual morning energy. Bright lights, warm laughter, audience applause echoing off the walls. Producers rushed around, adjusting microphones and finalizing cue cards, all preparing for what was supposed to be a simple promotional appearance. Meghan Markle had been invited to talk about her new project, but the moment she walked in, the air shifted. Dressed in a sharp white suit and radiating quiet confidence, she offered a polite smile. Yet behind the cameras, whispers were already circulating. Kelly Ripa watched Meghan approach with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, while Mark Consuelos flipped through the guest notes with tightened brows. Everyone sensed it. This wasn't going to be a soft interview. It was going to be a showdown. Asterisk, from the second the interview began, tension slid into the room like a cold draft. Meghan thanked them for inviting her, but before she could finish, Kelly pounced with her first question, sharp. Polite on the surface, but barbed underneath. Meghan, you've been in the headlines constantly. Do you ever feel responsible for the controversies that follow you? The audience let out a subtle gasp. Meghan blinked. Clearly caught off guard, but she held her posture. People talk, she replied with a small smile. I can't control that. Her voice was calm, but her eyes flashed, not with anger, but with exhaustion. Mark leaned forward, sensing an opening. But surely, he added, some of it comes from choices you've made? The audience shifted uncomfortably. The energy had changed from morning show friendly to interrogation. Asterisk, Meghan inhaled deeply, clasping her hands. Mark, she began. Every decision I've made has been to protect my family, but Kelly interrupted. Even when those decisions create tension between you and, say, the royal family? Producers backstage exchanged panicked glances. This wasn't in the script. Meghan's expression hardened ever so slightly. I didn't create the tension, she said firmly. I responded to it. Her voice carried through the room like a steady drumbeat. The audience murmured. Mark sat back, eyes narrowing, not at her answer, but at the shift in control. Meghan was composed, articulate, and unbothered by their prodding, and that irritated them more than any outburst could. Asterisk, trying to steer the conversation back to safer ground. Meghan mentioned her charity work in upcoming events, but Kelly wasn't done. Some say you used charity for PR, she said with a soft laugh that wasn't soft at all. The moment the words left her mouth, the room froze. Meghan blinked slowly, then finally let her composure crack just a little. Kelly, she said, her tone sharp but dignified, I've spent years visiting shelters and schools, mostly privately. If people online want to twist that, I can't help it. But I know why I do what I do. The audience applauded, hesitant at first, then louder. Kelly's jaw tightened. Asterisk, Mark leaned forward again, hands clasped. But can you blame people for thinking it's convenient timing? Every appearance comes right when something happens. Meghan's shoulders stiffened. You mean when tabloids invent another story about me? She said, her voice cutting through the room. Kelly let out a sigh, loud, performative. Meghan, come on. Not everything is the tabloids. Meghan's eyes finally flashed with anger. Then what would you call the last month of fabricated nonsense about my marriage? Or the so-called leaks that never happened? The audience gasped again. A producer waved frantically, signaling to move on. But the hosts didn't. Asterisk, Kelly crossed her legs and leaned forward, eyes gleaming. You always say fabricated. But isn't it possible that some stories come from people close to you? Meghan shook her head with disbelief. I'm here to talk about my work. Not to entertain gossip. Kelly didn't back down. But the public wants clarity. Meghan's voice dropped to a cold calm. Kelly, the public wants compassion. They want truth. They want empathy. And they deserve better than this. The room erupted in applause so loud the microphone shook. Kelly's smile faltered for the first time. Asterisk, Mark jumped in quickly. You say you want empathy, but critics say you talk about privacy while doing interviews. Isn't that contradictory? Meghan breathed out slowly, trying to stay composed. No, she replied. Privacy isn't secrecy. It's boundaries. And every human being deserves boundaries. Her voice softened. Including me. Including you. Mark looked momentarily stunned. not expecting the remark to land so gently, yet so powerfully. The audience clapped again, louder this time. But Kelly's irritation had turned into something sharper, embarrassment. Kelly motioned to the crew. "Let's cut to break." But Meghan continued speaking, finishing her point, and Kelly snapped, "We're going to break, Meghan." The tone, harsh, dismissive, drew a collective gasp from the room. Meghan froze, eyes narrowing. "You don't need to talk to me like that," she said quietly. But the quiet only made it more powerful. Kelly stood up abruptly, sending shockwaves across the studio. "If you can't follow the show structure," she said, "then this interview isn't working." Producers rushed forward. Mark tried to smooth things over, but Kelly was already worked up. A floor manager approached Meghan, speaking to her in a low voice. But the audience heard the words anyway. "We need to take you off until the next segment stabilizes." Meghan's jaw dropped. "Are you removing me?" Kelly shrugged dramatically. "We're protecting the flow of the show." The audience booed. Yes, they booed Kelly. Meghan stood slowly, her expression breaking for the first time into something raw, wounded, human. "I came here in good faith," she said softly, "to share something meaningful. I didn't expect hostility." The audience applauded again, loudly, passionately. Kelly's face flushed. As Meghan walked toward the exit, the cameras kept rolling, capturing every second. Kelly muttered something under her breath, and that was the breaking point. A producer stepped onto the stage, whispering urgently, "Stop. Cameras off." But they weren't off. The nation watched live as Meghan Markle, holding back visible tears, was escorted out of the studio. And Kelly and Mark, suddenly aware their actions had become the story, sat frozen in their chairs. Mark rubbed his forehead in regret. Kelly stared at the floor, realizing too late the backlash would be explosive. An immediate,